Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, we have some huge news around digital asset treasury companies, and one is with XRP and Ripple, and the other is with Ethereum. Let's start off with Ripple. So, Ripple Labs leads a $1 billion raise for new XRP treasury. So, on this podcast, we've covered a lot of digital asset treasury companies, many of them investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, AVAX, BNB. Most recently, I shared some news around that. And there was one company that did XRP, and that was Vivo Power. We heard about another one, but we didn't get confirmation if they've actually executed on it. So this trend continues. We've talked a lot about it ad nauseum, where this is very good for our bags, that these companies are buying the assets we hold, right? And you have the supply and demand economics playing out, plus the public mainstream announcement, right? These companies are saying, hey, we're buying X amount of ETH or XRP or whatever, and we're spending billions, right? We see Tom Lee, he's going nuts with Bitmine. And of course, Michael Saylor is leading the charge with Bitcoin. And this is a global trend, folks. We're seeing a lot of companies across the globe doing this. And like I said, very good for our bags. I've often issued the warning, though, that come the bear market, I don't know how many of these companies survive. I'm not saying all will crash or all will die. I'm just saying the nature of markets, we could see some of them collapse. However, with that said, we're going to ride the wave of them buying and pumping the price and doing their stock arbitrage. So let me give you the details here. Ripple Labs is leading an effort to raise at least $1 billion to establish a new digital asset treasury for XRP, Bloomberg reported, citing sources familiar with the matter. According to the report, the fundraise is set to be made via a special purpose acquisition company, or a SPAC, with Ripple contributing its own XRP holdings. The details of the raise and transaction structure are still being discussed and remain subject to change, the report said. The block has reached out to Ripple Labs for comment. While Bitcoin and Ether have dominated the crypto market narrative this year, particularly around institutional adoption, XRP has gained notably less traction as a base asset for DATs. Now, like I said, there's only been one company, Vivo Power, that was confirmed that they are actually doing this. But here, the report says if successfully established, the new entity could become the largest digital asset treasury dedicated to XRP. In June, Singapore-based Trident Digital announced plans to raise $500 million to build an XRP treasury. Now, we haven't gotten confirmation on that yet. I know Vivo Power, they're like in the 250 million range. So this would be the largest. So let's see how this plays out. Like I said, guys, this is very good. If these companies are buying the asset you hold, whether it be Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Solana, whatever it is, and I have all those in my portfolio. So this is very good. And like I said, it's not just that they're buying, but they're making the big media headlines, and this will all help drive the prices higher. So this is very bullish news if you hold XRP. And if you hold Ethereum, here's some more bullish news. Huobi founder Lee Lin to lead a $1 billion Ethereum treasury firm. So Lee Lin, the founder of Huobi and chairman of the Hong Kong-based Avenir Capital, is spearheading a new $1 billion Ether trust alongside several of Asia's most influential early Ethereum investors, according to Bloomberg. The group is in talks to acquire a Nasdaq-listed company to structure the vehicle, with a formal launch expected in the coming weeks. The move comes as institutional appetite for Ether grows, with public companies already holding over 4.4 million ETH, valued at $16.9 billion, CoinGecko data shows. That's incredible, folks. Amazing, amazing stuff here. Again, this is very good for our bags. And, one of the things you want to look at, in addition to charts and on-chain data and macro factors, it's the adoption, right? So if these firms are raising this amount of capital to buy these assets, would they be doing that if we are entering a bear market where the prices are going to keep collapsing, right? So this is where you got to put your thinking cap on here. I do believe we are still in a bull market, as I've been saying, despite the volatility and corrections we're seeing. And I've given the different factors. Check out yesterday's podcast, right? We are going to see the rotational liquidity from gold into crypto and stocks, and we are in a macro bull market for all assets. We have been over the past couple of years. So This is very bullish news. Billions of dollars worth of the assets we hold in our portfolio getting bought by publicly traded companies. Now, folks, a great place you can buy, sell, and trade XRP and Ethereum is on Uphold. This is a platform I've been using since 2018. They have over 300 cryptocurrencies. They offer staking on 20 plus crypto assets. So they're a great place where you can stake your assets. And folks, I've been using them for a long time. Like I said, since 2018, never had any issues, any problems. They've always been reliable. And folks, they are fully reserved. They don't commingle or lend out your crypto assets, and you can review their transparency report on their website. They also offer great products and services outside of the normal stuff, like a rewards program. So they have what's called Uphold Rewards, where you can earn up to 5.25% on stablecoins. And part of the program, you get 24-hour early access to new tokens they list. So the coins they support includes Ripple's RLUSD, that's a stablecoin, of course, and USBC. Now you can earn up to 5% on RLUSD, and USBC you earn up to 5.25%. In order to participate, you simply have to open the app once per month, deposit $50 once per month, and trade $50 once per month. So very simple. You know, if you have a DCA, dollar cost averaging plan, this works out great and you earn this amazing yield. And folks, I've interviewed the CEO and the representatives, so they're doing this the right way. No shady business, no nonsense. So I made sure I validated that. So folks, if you'd like to learn more about Uphold, check out the link in the description. Now, look at this news. This is interesting. Ondo Finance, they wrote a letter to the SEC telling them to hold off on the Nasdaq's tokenized securities plan. So you got a bit of a battle between the crypto native firms and the TradFi firms who are trying to, adopt blockchain and crypto. And this is very revealing. And it's along the lines of what we've talked about for years, that a lot of the TradFi folks, they lobbied Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler to try to kill these crypto startups and slow it down because they were getting disrupted. So let me give you the details. Ondo Finance urged the U.S. SEC to delay or reject Nasdaq's proposal to trade tokenized securities, saying it lacks transparency and could give established market players an unfair edge. In a Wednesday letter to the regulator, Ondo, a blockchain company that issues tokenized versions of traditional assets, said the regulators and investors can't fairly evaluate Nasdaq's proposal without public details on how the Deposit Trust Company, DTC, will handle blockchain settlements. DTC serves as the main depository for U.S. securities and facilitates their post-trade settlement. While acknowledging support for Nasdaq's move towards tokenization, Ondo warned that Nasdaq's reference to non-public information implies differential access and deprives other firms of a fair opportunity to comment. So I certainly back Ondo on this, and we want as much transparency as possible. We don't want TradFi coming in, getting special rules, and being able to leapfrog unfairly. Now, if you have a free market and whoever builds the fastest and builds the best product, that's fine. But if the Nasdaq is doing something that maybe crypto companies can't, then we need to sort that out. So let's see how this all plays out. But it's very interesting. Now, look at this news. Tempo, Stripe's new blockchain, hits a $5 billion valuation in a $500 million funding round. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Stripe is, of course, a massive company in the payments world, and they're building their own layer one blockchain. So I think we're going to see a lot of this. Some firms are going to build layer twos, like on ETH and other things and other blockchains, but some are going to build their own. And, one of the projects I've been telling you guys to watch is Canton Network, because that one is backed by a ton of banks. I interviewed the co-founder and CEO of the company that is building that. And folks, that's a coin I'm going to look to invest in. I'll let you guys know when I do. It's currently not listed on exchanges. But anyway, let me jump back to the story here. So Stripe's blockchain project, Tempo, raised a $500 million Series A round led by Green Oaks and Thrive Capital, valuing the payments-focused network at $5 billion, according to Fortune. Sequoia Capital, Ribbit Capital, and Ron Conway's SV Angel also joined the round. While Stripe and Paradigm did not contribute additional capital, a person familiar with the deal said, the news comes less than 2 months after Stripe, a global payments fintech giant, unveiled plans for its new Layer 1 blockchain in partnership with Paradigm, a venture capital firm that invests in crypto and Web3 startups. On September 4th, Stripe CEO Patrick Collison wrote on X, as the use of stablecoins and crypto more broadly grows across Stripe, Bridge, and Privy, we found that existing blockchains are not optimized for them. We think of Tempo as the payments-oriented layer one, optimized for high-scale, real-world financial applications, he said. Now, what we'll have to wait and see, is this a public blockchain? Will they have a token? And much more. So I'm going to do my research there. And, is this possibly a coin, or if they have a coin that I would want to invest in? Sure. Actually, it looks like the article hints at some things here. It says, while Stripe hasn't disclosed plans for a native Tempo token, the blockchain focus on payments infrastructure puts it in a competition with several stablecoin issuers already embedded in the global payment systems. So we don't know if they're going to have a token, but if they do, folks, again, we're going to do our research for the next bull market, right? Because I don't know if they launch a token now, if it does really well. It just depends on when they launch it, right? They launch it after the market tops. So I'll let you guys know about all those things. I don't like to buy into pumps. I like to wait when there's blood on the streets and buy the lows so I get the most return, right? So these new coins by some of these institutional investors, I'm going to be here in my newsletter on the podcast telling you, hey, I'm buying this. Obviously, not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm just sharing my plan in being fully transparent. A lot of the channel members have access to my portfolio and Google Docs. So I'm flagging this to you guys, right? This is something we want to look at. Tempo, and I mentioned Canton Network earlier. Now, in addition, the folks at Stripe's Tempo team, they got an Ethereum Foundation veteran, Dan Crad Feist. I probably butchered his name, but it looks like they're bringing on people with the expertise, right? So he's a longtime Ethereum developer, and he's joining Tempo. So Stripe is not playing around here. They're poaching the talent, they're getting the capital. These are things we want to watch as investors, right? We want to watch closely and be prepared to take our position. All right, we got some news here on Arthur Hayes. So BitMEX co-founder's family office seeking $250 million for private equity fund. So let me give you the details here. Maelstrom, the family office connected to BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes, is reportedly looking to raise $250 million for a private equity fund aimed at acquiring crypto companies. Some more capital is coming in, folks. According to a Bloomberg report on Friday, the fund plans to use $40 million to $75 million for each acquisition of as many as 6 crypto companies, with funding expected to be completed by September 2026. Sounds like they're, looking to get ready to buy in the bear market, right? I anticipate this market would have already topped by September 2026. So that's when they'll close the fund, once they've hit the total of funds. So this is why, guys, we are reading, we're paying attention, what moves, what are signals we're seeing out there from these big players. But clearly more capital coming in. And, a lot of these investors, they not only invest in the token projects, but the companies building the infrastructure, the picks and shovels, right? So very interesting. All right, look at this news. The token economy continues to expand globally. Japanese mega banks to jointly issue yen peg stablecoin. To some people, this is all a scam. Who needs stablecoin? Who needs crypto? Who needs blockchain? They don't understand. They're not educated about how things actually work in the world and what is happening with Swift and why money doesn't settle instantly. It takes days and weeks sometimes when you're talking cross-border and much more. So 3 of Japan's largest banks reportedly plan to jointly issue a yen-backed or yen-pegged stablecoin, contributing to the region's growing adoption of crypto technology within its financial infrastructure. Nikkei reported on Friday that Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, Bank Sumitomo Mitsu Banking Corp., and Mitsu Bank plan to modernize corporate settlements and reduce transaction costs through a yen-based stablecoin project built on MUFG's stablecoin issuance platform, Progmat. Interesting. So, folks, I hope you see what's happening here. I've been beating the drum, telling you guys, the future markets, economies, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. And what you want to look at is which blockchains are doing that on. And grab up those tokens, not at the top of the market, when everybody's scared and there's blood on the streets. Kind of like right now, where people are fearful, it's over, doomtown, blah, 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 right? That's the time you want to buy. Obviously, do your own research, right? I'm not telling you to go out and buy because I said so, but I'm just pointing you in the right direction, pointing you to the information and showing you the full landscape of what's happening. And then you make the decisions with your money, obviously. Here's another example. Ghana Central Bank targets December to have crypto regulations in place. Man, when I step back and I see what's happening, and even countries you wouldn't think that would be trying to adopt crypto because of their history with their central bank and their economies and how they abuse fiat. And, if you go to some of these countries in Africa and look, even Latin America, right? They printed so much money. You got $1 trillion bill notes and much more. It's wild, right? But they all recognize where the puck is heading. And again, future markets, economies, and governments will all run on blockchain rails. And, as I shared in yesterday's podcast, what the IMF director said, get on board, accept reality. This is here to stay, right? That crypto, she was talking about crypto and the digitization of money and much more. So we are seeing capitulation across the globe from the biggest dominoes, right? So Ghana's central bank aims to have crypto regulations in place by the end of the year, with the West African country advancing a bill to parliament just a week after Kenya passed its own bill regulating the industry. Johnson Asiama, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, said at the International Monetary Fund's meetings in Washington on Thursday that the country had done a lot of work in the past 4 months to put together the regulatory environment and create legislation. The bill is on its way to the parliament, and hopefully before the end of December, we should be able to regulate cryptocurrencies in Ghana, he said. Folks, do I even need to say anything else? Right? Make sure you have a macro view on this market, because if you are caught up too much in the micro, you're going to get lost, right? There's a lot of volatility, but that's where the opportunity lies because we're so early. It's not a mature asset class like gold or the stock market. And that's why there's so much upside. And obviously, when we go to the downside, it's like a pendulum. It swings very low, but it swings high and that's why you make the gains that you make. That's why Bitcoin and crypto has outperform other asset classes, right? It's what Paul Tudor Jones said. It's the fastest horse in the asset race. So, guys, if you appreciate this content, please be sure to sign up for my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. It's on Substack. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. Once again, check out mycryptocourse.com, folks. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.